You're watching Good Morning Carolinas on ABC 15 with Crystal Costa, Matt Barbour, and meteorologist Kaitlin Wright.
We do have breaking news just into our newsroom out of Texas this morning. Right now, firefighters are on the scene of an RV fire that crashed after leading police on a chase near Dallas.
This is a live look at the scene this morning out of Dallas. That chase began about 2 hours ago. We've learned more than 10 police units responded. Officials say a man reportedly shot his wife and took off in an RV with kids.
And we're following more breaking news overnight here locally out of Marion County. A police chase led to a manhunt in the Scotts community near Mullins. Deputies tried to pull over a driver for a traffic violation. That driver kept on going. At some point, the driver stopped the car, and he and another man jumped out and ran into the woods. More information is expected to be released later today.
New this morning, we've learned overnight 7 students have been arrested and are now charged with malicious injury to property after a break-in on Mother's Day at Kingstree Senior High School. The students are all between the ages of 17 and 19. Officials say they spray painted vulgar pictures, language, messages, and gang signs inside and outside of the school. They also trashed the restroom. Some of the students are suspended. That damage could be in excess of $20,000. In another top story of ours this morning, Memorial Day weekend brings thousands of people to the Grand Strand every year.
We will be seeing a lot of bikers. Many were in town last week, of course, for the Spring Harley Rally, and this weekend is the Atlantic Beach Bike Fest. ABC 15's Amanda Kinseth is live for us this morning on Ocean Boulevard in Myrtle Beach with more on how local hospitals are preparing.
That's right. The Grand Strand Medical Center refers to May as Bike Month, and they want to be extra prepared. So they have extra supplies and extra staff on hand right now. The director of trauma unit says that they can see a wide range of injuries come in. That could be anything from a motorcycle crash to victims of violence.
We can get amputations, we can get partial amputations, we can get pelvic fractures, and obviously the head trauma that goes with that.
Last year, 8 people died in crashes on Memorial Day weekend. Troopers with the South Carolina Highway Patrol urge you to drive safely and defensively. And if you see any drunk drivers or reckless drivers, you're encouraged to call Star HP. In Myrtle Beach, Amanda Kinseth, ABC 15 News.
Thank you, Amanda. And another important reminder from Myrtle Beach Police, if you see something suspicious, say something. Officers do ask you to report any and all suspicious activity you see.
Well, it's been an awfully busy week, but we were saying if there had to be some gloomy weather, first part of the week was good.
You're exactly right. If it happens on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's kind of okay. And we needed some of the rainfall, but some areas saw a little bit too much. Let's go ahead and look at live Doppler 15,000, though, at least a zoomed out version, showing you a lot of the eastern seaboard, really. You can see that we are not done with the rain yet. Moving through Atlanta, and we'll start to see some showers starting to bubble up in the atmosphere and head right our way, because this is the backside of the system now. You can see the counterclockwise rotation of this fairly strong low pressure system that brought us, of course, that just a little bit of severe weather as we were tracking through yesterday afternoon and evening. But again, we are not done with the showers, just isolated to widely scattered, though. Here's your out the door forecast. It's going to be a pretty nice day. It will be windy, though. Sustained winds about 10 to 20, maybe even 10 to 25 miles per hour out of the southwest. Temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s, so it will be windy again. Those isolated showers in place late afternoon, heading into the evening hours, definitely possible. We will be lowering our humidity, which of course that is always good news, and that'll stick around as we head through Friday and heading into your Saturday. I have your Memorial Day weekend forecast coming up in just a bit.
With continuing coverage this morning, officials with the solicitor's office in Marlborough County have placed a gag order on the murder investigation of Ella Lowry and her 8-year-old daughter, Ayanna Lowry. We're told they do not want to release any information that could jeopardize this case. Jawancy Harrington is facing murder and kidnapping charges in connection with their deaths. Police say Ella Lowry was found stabbed to death at her home on Craig Circle. Deputies found Ayanna's body in Gum Swamp Creek in McCall 10 days later.
An Horry County woman who pleaded guilty to killing her 5-month-old daughter wants a new trial. Sarah Toney pleaded guilty in January to homicide by child abuse. Police found her baby dead in Asakasty Creek in November of 2015. On May the 15th of this year, court paperwork was filed showing she wants a new trial because she says expert witnesses were not called to the stand. Toney was sentenced to 27 years in prison. Turning now to some national headlines we're following this morning. Authorities in Oklahoma say a suspect in a deadly crash led police on a chase off of the road and onto a runway. Police arrested Jerry Lee Newman in connection to the chase. They say Newman stole a utility vehicle. He then crashed through a perimeter gate at the Tulsa International Airport and then was able to make it onto a runway. The pursuit continued on a highway where they believe he was involved in a deadly collision. Officers on the scene say he took off on foot after the wreck. He was later found and arrested.
Now to Missouri, where a teenager has been arrested and is charged with making bombs in the basement of his home. 17-year-old Tristan Blasius is being held on a $25,000 bond this morning. Police say he had possession of many weapons and materials to manufacture homemade explosives. It was his own father who discovered them and contacted authorities. Some parents say it wouldn't be easy, but they too would turn in their children.
It would be hard, but I would turn him in just for the safety of everybody else. It'd be selfish of me to take up for him when other lives would have been in danger.
If I found something like that, if my child had done something like that, I would turn them in because it's against the law. You can't come in my home and break the law.
Detectives say the suspect admitted to stealing the firearms from homes in the area. No word on what he planned to do with them.
Authorities in Florida fired a police officer for excessive force in the April arrest of a teenager. Clearwater officers were responding to reports of a 13-year-old boy breaking things and screaming. You'll see this surveillance video shows one of the officers slamming the handcuffed child to the ground. That boy suffered injuries, including broken teeth and a broken nose. The officer told the police chief he did it because the child tried to pull away from him. Other officers seen in the video were given corrective action and were given additional training as well.
A former FedEx driver is now in jail this morning for what officials are calling a suspected rash of burglaries. They happen across California throughout the month. A district attorney explains how they finally caught up with and arrested 57-year-old Kevin Baker.
You know, this is a great part about it, electronics. One of the homes had a home surveillance video system that completely picked him up on it, and in two of the burglaries, he stole electronics. 2 iPads in one burglary, a laptop in another, and obviously this man wasn't thinking because, of course, those are footprints.
FedEx officials say they are cooperating with authorities. They released a statement saying, quote, FedEx ground contracts for and expects the highest levels of conduct from service providers and their employees. Baker remains in jail this morning. Yesterday, he entered a not guilty plea. If convicted, he could face life in prison because he has prior convictions.
Firefighters in Washington state are battling a fire that is burning dozens of acres. It started Tuesday inside of a huge pile of logs, and it has now grown to some 40 acres. It prompted evacuations of 150 homes and cabins. The weather is cooperating. The main concern is wind and spot fires that may blow up. Firefighters say the scorched logs will likely burn for several days since there's so much fuel. The fire is 50% contained.
With continuing coverage, the United Kingdom is on high alert right now as investigators say the Manchester suicide bomber who killed at least 22 people at a Monday night concert did not act alone. Police have now arrested 7 people. Members of the bomber's family have also been detained in Libya. Officials say the suspect is 22-year-old Salman Abedi. Police say he was known to both British and U.S. intelligence officials.
He certainly might have had the opportunity in Libya to connect with a terrorist group. ISIS has a presence in Libya, Al-Qaeda has a presence in Libya, other jihadi groups.
Police continue to raid buildings as the people of Manchester mourn the lives lost. Now to political headlines in the U.S. As the Senate considers moving forward with plans to repeal Obamacare, groups like the American Medical Association, the American Hospital Association, and the AARP are warning against the potentially devastating effects.
ABC's Lana Zach is in Washington, D.C. this morning with the latest.
Shame! Shame! The new estimates are in, and the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office is projecting millions of uninsured Americans.
The report makes clear Trump care would be a cancer on the American health care system.
Earlier this month, House Republicans narrowly passed their version of the bill.
This is a repeal and a replace of Obamacare.
Moving forward without a full accounting of the likely effects of their legislation. But now the CBO report is complete, and it estimates that in its current state, the bill would reduce the federal deficit by $119 billion over the next decade, but also leave 23 million more people uninsured. The likely effects even more dire for people with pre-existing conditions and senior citizens. A 64-year-old making roughly $26,000 in some states could see his or her premiums climb nearly $12,000 or more. The AARP in a statement condemned the plan for what they called the devastating impact the bill would have on older Americans by imposing an age tax and hiking costs for those who can least afford them, eroding seniors' ability to live independently. But the head of the Senate Republican says he's committed to repeal and replace regardless of what the CBO says.
It's a technical, procedural step beyond likely reiterating things we already know. The updated report will allow the Senate procedurally to move forward.
But the bill faces an uphill battle in the Senate, and some moderate Republicans, like Susan Collins, are calling upon their fellow legislators for a bipartisan solution. Lana Zach, ABC News, Washington.
And the Congressional Budget Office says health insurance will be all about location and waivers. Hey, you can participate here. It is Throwback Thursday in Good Morning Carolinas. The theme is a salute to our soldiers as a part of Memorial Day.
Find out how you can share pictures of your favorite soldier or veteran with us here on GMC.
And this is a live look this morning at the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. Get this, the bridge turns 134 years old today.